Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. Sorry. These are where I read a chapter from one of my books and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And if you want to support me, that is on my Patreon. Alrighty, today we are doing chapter 3 of Breaking Step. How are you doing? Zaccaria asked as Tibs and the remnant of his team started back to the transport platform. Jekyll turned to face them and the others followed suit. Suit. And who are you? The fighter asked, an edge to his voice. I'm Zaccaria, they answered with a gentle smile. I met Tibs when he and Karina visited. I'm glad you found your element, Tibs. They're Paolo's special person, Tibs said, then added, he was the cleric who healed me in Mountain Sea. I'm fine, he told them. Their smile turned sad. Tibs, she was special to you. She wasn't my special girl, he snapped as the ice cracked. He fought the pain that tried to escape. She was still special to you. I could see that. It's all right to acknowledge you're in pain. I'm not, he stated. We are dealing with her death as best as we are able to, Kamdar said. They smiled at him, the nod of acknowledgement interrupted as they searched the cleric's face. They shrugged. Be there for each other and you will pull through. It's what family is for. We know that, Mez said. We don't need some stranger telling us. Of course, I didn't mean to intrude. If you ever need to talk, Tibs, or any of you, I am here and always. We won't be able to come back. Jekyll cut them off. We're runners. They only let us leave if the dungeon closes. He rubbed his left wrist. This was a special circumstance. They nodded. Then send word, and I will visit your town. We will. Tibs turned to start walking. If I may, they said, and Tibs stopped, catching the cleric stiffening out of the corner of his eyes. What is your name? It is Komdar. Tibs turned to face them again as they searched the cleric's face. Have we met? You seem... No, the cleric stated, the word bright to Tibs. It wasn't often the cleric let a lie be visible. They nodded. Be well, then. Zaccaria turned and headed back to the assembly. Tibs started toward the platform again, and the others fell in step with him. I think Mrs. Ritchie? They, Tibs corrected. Zaccaria had worn pants this time, along with a loose shirt, but they only seemed to highlight the combinations of curves and more masculine features. Do you think they picked up on Kondar's lie? The archer asked the group. I don't have light like Tibs does, but that no sounded false to me. Sounded as false as I've ever heard. I did not expect they would recognize me, the cleric replied defensively. I was much younger the last time they saw me, and much less hearty. You realize you just admitted you're from this city, right? Jekyll pointed out. Commodore shrugged. We have been a family long enough. This is one thing you can know about me. Real generous of you, the fighter said sarcastically, to grant us this one secret. It is indeed, the clerk agreed, with a magnanimous nod and slight smile. Craggle Rock reappeared around them, and the first sounds were that of a commotion. Guards subduing a group of respectable-looking men and women. Watch for the pouches, a guard said, a knee to the back of the woman he held on the ground. Tibbs recognized the sense of Everburn as the men continued. The last group had theirs filled with that burning tar stuff. You don't want that stuff spilling out and igniting. This is conversation, which is why I'm leaving the doubling stuff twice that close together. Quickly, the other guards removed the pouches from the others they were arresting. Looks like your uncle's finally taking his role as protector of the town seriously, Mess commented as they walked away from the platform. It's about time, Jekyll muttered. I wish I hadn't taken watching the town be destroyed while he stood by, because that's what his orders were. To get his head out of his ass and be a man. It was too late, as far as Tibbs was concerned. The men had already done too much damage, just following orders, for anything he might do now to mean anything. Oof, that's a little... The men had already done too much damage just following orders for anything he might do to me for anything he might do now to mean anything. Around them, buildings were burned to husk. How long until they were rebuilt? Until the houses were up, the shops at the edge of the marketplace reopened. He didn't care that people needed them, filled with ice as he was. The town was what needed the houses rebuilt, the shops reopened for it to survive. The town was what needed the houses rebuilt and the shops reopened for it to survive. For it to survive. It needed people to inhabit it, to return from wherever they'd fled and bring commerce with them. More shops than those on Merchant Row were needed for the town to function. Merchant Row has escaped the worst of the damage because of the runners ensuring they were protected. But the merchants there wouldn't be able to supply everything. Everything a grown town needed. Marketplace was needed for that. Could Craggle Rock even grow? Wait, why is there two cheese here? Could Craggle Rock even grow beyond where it stood? When Tibbs had checked in with Darren, not to see how the merchant was doing, but to find out how the row was managing after the assaults, the merchant had explained how numbers meant a lot. How numbers meant a lot of the growth of a town, how numbers meant a lot to the growth of a town, how it needed so much of one versus the other. Ratios, profit, the flow of people. Tibbs had found the numbers interesting, but didn't understand all of them. What he had taken from the merchant's lecture was that Craggle Rock needed those extra shops, those houses, if it was to thrive. Krosef has his arm around Jackal as soon as they stepped within the inn. They spoke quietly while Tibbs continued to their table. Not long after he sat, Krosef placed a bowl of stew and tankard before him. Please eat, the server said, squeezing his shoulder. Tibbs wasn't hungry, but if he didn't eat, his friends would pester him about it, so he made slow work of the food. Someone brought a chair to the table and sat. Tibbs ignored them. You know, you don't. I know you don't want to deal with us right now, Quigley said, but with how effective the guards are, we need to pull the people we have together and get them back to patrolling the row. If the or the merchants will start there, we'll start thinking, depending on the guards, it will be is enough. I'll deal with that tomorrow, Tibbs. This can't wait. The warrior put a hand on Tibbs's arm. I said tomorrow, he snapped, the ice cracking under the heat of his anger. Quigley's one eye searched his face. The left side of his face was the left side of the warrior's face was still bandaged, but Tibbs had seen the mess that eye had been before Clara started healing it. The warrior. Quigley. Oops. Quigley had stopped her the moment it no longer oozed blood and other liquids, ordering her to see to those with worse injuries. He'd waved away her warnings that if she didn't heal the eye now, she might not be able to later. Tomorrow, the warrior said, standing, but not sounding happy. Be careful you don't always push tomorrow back, Tibbs. You don't have a lot left to control right now, but if too many of them pass before you take action, you won't have anything. We'll sit and deal with this tomorrow, Tibbs replied, filling the cracks with more ice. I'm not letting the guild take the town away from us, no matter how much work Harry puts into it now. I'm not giving them a chance to betray us again. With a satisfied nod, Quigley left with his chair. Tibbs stepped into his team's room. He should go roof running. He always felt better up there rather than in here, but he was tired. Purity could deal with it, but it meant letting go of water, and he needed the hole of his reserve to keep the ice intact. Even if he filled the 8 reserves with his in his bracers with water, he knew there wouldn't be enough. He stopped as he saw her bed. He saw her there, sitting, laughing, chiding him for throwing the clay tablet aside in frustration. The ice cracked and he swallowed. He forced himself to breathe and removed his armor. He was the only one in the room. Jekyll was with Krozef, messed with his girl, and Kumdar. Tibs had no idea who the cleric might be with. Tibs had the ice, and it made sure being alone in his team's room didn't bother him. He sat on his bed and looked at hers next to it. He didn't care about it. He didn't care that it, too, was empty. He pulled his knee to his chest. He didn't care that the others had someone to seek comfort with and that he didn't. He didn't. The ice cracked. He wouldn't. The ice broke. He lost hold of water as tears flowed. He missed Karina. He missed Mama so much. It all hurt so much that he couldn't reach for the one thing that took his pain away. And that concludes chapter 3 of Breaking Step. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the story, it is available for free on Royal Road. If you want to read ahead and support me at the same time, that is on my Patreon, where it's about 20 chapters ahead, I think. And if you're looking to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. The links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.